And welcome back to Women's Biz Tribe Success Summit. We have been having a fantastic couple of days, actually. We're having 44 speakers from around the globe who are seriously inspiring, giving practical help, top tips, things that they've learned, and they're sharing them with our global community of women and men who are attending this summit. So I hope you're all having a fantastic time. I am super excited to now introduce you to our next speaker. Her name is Julie Randall. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Julie. We are going to be talking about finding the courage to reinvent yourself. And when you hear Julie's story, it's going to just blow your mind. If Julie can come through her journey the way she has, anyone can do anything is going to be the message. So Julie looks perfectly healthy now, but she's actually survived stage 4 terminal cancer. She did that against all of the odds, and her story is written in an incredible book called Patient 71. And I seriously, as soon as I touched it, it was one of those books that I just could not put it down. I was like, oh my gosh. And then I've met Julie and coached Julie, and I'm just like, wow, seriously amazing. So her story is around being in a groundbreaking global medical trial that only accepted 70 people. So therefore, she became Patient 71. It walks through all of her story, her family, the effects of it. It became a best-selling book. She does speaking, she does podcast interviews, she does charity work. She seriously inspired and supported thousands of people to navigate their own pivotal life moments since there. But her journey is not just a cancer journey. It's also about what happened after she got the all clear in 2017. And we're going to hear more from her now. Welcome, Julie.
Hello. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to it. Have been looking forward to it for days.
Oh, yay. That's what we want. Super excited. Excellent. So how about, I've given her like a little bit of an intro, and it's like, what has been going on? So tell us, Julie, what happened to you?
Okay. So in 2012, 21st of June, actually, I know that day, etched in my mind forever. I was, so I thought, fit and healthy, training for a high-level touch football tournament, just turned 50, wasn't happy. Called it my 40/10th. Thought I was pretty funny and clever. Didn't want to turn 50. Then it turned out to be careful what you wish for. Mm-hmm. So a few days later, I was driving to work, actually practicing gratitude, feeling very thankful for my life. Even the husband got a mention that day. That's how good my day was. Went to work, was going out for lunch with some colleagues down by the Opera House in Sydney, and had a great lunch. Beautiful day. Just remember looking at all the beautiful sights, thinking, how lucky am I? Then I went back to work. Somebody asked me a question. What did you have for lunch? I couldn't answer them. And in that moment, in that second, I knew something was incredibly wrong. And then I just had a massive brain seizure in the office and woke up to paramedics calling out my name, Julie, Julie, Julie. I had my head down. When I finally got my head up, all I could see was all my friends in the office just going. And to this day, I don't know what I was doing, but it mustn't have been pretty by the look on their faces, but I just had a massive brain seizure right there in the office that day.
How to freak out your colleagues.
Yes. I think they're still traumatized to this day, actually. So then I get taken to emergency, St Vincent's Hospital in Sydney, and they discover, my beautiful husband saying, "You're just tired. You've had too much partying for your birthday." And then we did some tests. They discovered that I had a tumour, a brain tumour. Didn't know what it was, whether it was malignant or benign. They didn't know. Then had a myriad of tests over the next 24 hours and was sitting in my hospital bed, and I saw them coming for me. And by them, I mean a head doctor with interns either side. And I just remember thinking I wanted to pick up the remote and press the button so they would go back the other way, because by the look on their faces, I knew it was terrible news. And it was. They said, "Julie, you have tumours in your brain, both lungs, liver, pancreas, lymph nodes." The list went on, and finished up by him saying, "It's not good." With that, I jumped out of bed, hospital gown still on, and took off with my husband, like running after me with whatever belongings I had. And the doctor's trying to talk, but I just wasn't listening. I just was running for the hills, basically.
Yeah.
Just horrible.
Which you can imagine, right? How can you process that? It's almost like, you've got to be kidding. This is a joke. I've just had a birthday party. I'm actually a fit and healthy 50-year-old. Like, you'd think I'd know if I'm riddled with cancer. And how does that happen? Like, it's just like this overnight, what on earth is going on? Your shock response was completely understandable. And you would have also had a very scared husband, Nick, running after you, and also a very terrified medical team who are like, we actually need to talk about this and the next steps, right?
Yeah, exactly. And there was no reasoning with me on that particular night. And I tell the story of driving through the city of Sydney on a Friday night and everybody out drinking and having a great time and celebrating the end of their working week. And here I am rehearsing how to tell my teenage daughters that their mother's dying. Yeah. And, I'm like, how can you be doing that? How can you, it was irrational, but it was very real for me, and distinctly, remember that. And so that's what I had to do.
Unbelievable. Every parent's worst nightmare. One, any individual to be told something just so confronting, but also your girls were in high school. They weren't finished school yet, were they? And so you're just like, oh my gosh, like I'm too young to die. I don't want to die. I don't want to be telling my daughters this. How are they even going to respond and comprehend? No one's going to even believe this is true or possible. I just cannot even imagine the scene and the thoughts and the processing. So how did you handle it all mentally?
Super tough. I guess the good part was having teenage daughters, because I couldn't fall in a heap. But when I got home from hospital that night and I had to tell them, they were so distraught. And I do get emotional every time I say this, because, one of them kept chanting, "No, mum, no, mum," And all I said was, I said I had cancer, but I didn't say, hey, I've got terminal cancer and months to live. I just said, I have cancer. And just, they lost their grandmother, my mother, of cancer, totally different kind. But to them, it only meant one thing. And, my eldest daughter just sobbed, my younger daughter sobbed in my chest, and my eldest daughter just kept saying, no, mum, over and over again. And it was so horrible to witness. I just said, I'll fix it. I promise, as us mothers do. And that's when the monsters first made an appearance in my head, saying, good luck with that. You've just made a promise to beat a advanced terminal cancer, diagnosis. But that's what I did. And once I'd made that promise, I knew I was going to do everything I could to keep it. And even at the end of if at the end of the day I couldn't keep it, then I'd absolutely done everything I could. Spoiler alert, I kept it.
Spoiler alert, here today. Exactly. I think they're cottoning on to that. Absolutely. And thank God for that. What a promise to make. And I can imagine that mother heart must have just been just breaking and roaring all at the same time, going, don't worry. Like, I can't not survive. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't not make this right, because it would have just been a most painful experience to go through. And well done you for making a big, bold promise. But that promise actually, after reading the book, and everyone's got to read this book, Patient 71, talk about a tenacious woman, because let's just tell everybody then what happened next. Were you offered treatment? So you've been told you're terminal and it's not looking good, and virtually get your affairs in order. And, and you're like going, well, hang on though, I've made a promise to my girls. I'd like to know what the next steps are, please.
Yeah, I've made a promise, you guys. You're going to fix me. So that was kind of the first part of the diagnosis. When you have cancer, most people, you get told you have cancer before and then you have to find out what type of cancer it is. So, the gift that keeps giving. So I had to go to, do the biopsies, etc., and then find out it's melanoma, which is one of the deadliest cancers you can have. And then I go to see a professor, and I'm still thinking seriously that this is one big mistake. I was still feeling well, and Scott and I go over to this professor, and I'm half waiting for, nothing to see here, been a big mistake, see you later, thanks for coming. And
sorry about that, your medical records got switched with someone else, and you're actually fine now. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You'd
good.
love to and not also hate them for causing so much pain.
Exactly. But that was one mistake I would have forgiven. So we sit down, and she sort of shakes our hands and straight away says, sorry, Julie, you've got stage 4 advanced, melanoma. There's nothing we can do for you. And with that, I stood up and walked over to the basin in her little office and started just dry retching, thinking, my babies, and I was saying it out loud, my babies, and to the point that Scott and the professor had to come pick me up and literally drag me back to the seat. And then she was sort of talking about chemotherapy with a 10% chance of holding things for a while, and I was off with the fairies, and then I had my head down, and then somebody's waving something under my nose, and it's her assistant with a brochure on palliative care. And like,
it's not a solution. I don't want to be held for one. I want a cure, and palliative care is not the outcome that I'm wanting.
At the first appointment, basically. Anyway, I tell a funny story when I speak, though. I say that she said, asked me to go into the next room to get weighed, and I politely declined because the last thing I needed was a bad reading on the scales that day.
Exactly. You tell me I'm now fat. Seriously, this is not a good day.
That would just be the last straw, right? All you ladies listening. So,
seriously, that's right.
That's I did decline. I did decline that. Once again, back to the car, back, thinking I've promised my daughters that, I'm going to live. Anyway, so I did go on chemotherapy. I was kind of a lab rat, experimental girl the whole time, because there was the chemo I just mentioned, 10% chance. A local oncologist had seen something with 40 patients in Germany, I think, that people were responding more to the tune of 30 or 40%. This is all just to hold things for a while, chemotherapy, right? This is no cure. It's not a cure. But I thought, I am blonde and not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I thought I'd go for the 40%. I go for the 40% chance of holding things for a while. And in my mind, I just thought, I just need time. I need to slow this thing down so I can make a plan. And that's what I did. And it did slow things down for me. It put things on hold for a while. But I knew it wasn't a cure. And after a visit to the doctor one day, I said, how long is this going to be working for? And this is my local oncologist. And he matter-of-factly said, well, won't be working in a couple of months, won't be working in a few months. And I just said, and I'm just like, I said, if you think I'm going to hang around and wait for that to happen, you've got another thing coming. And I'm getting feisty and upset. And Scott's hubby's saying, is there anything out there? Is there anything we can do? And he said, look, there's some experimental stuff overseas. Scott said, can you get us in? Right. We'll try anything. We'll do anything.
Yeah.
And he says, no, that's up to you.
Unbelievable.
So, that's up to you. I think the words were, it's up to you, and it won't be easy. They don't like taking foreigners, and we were left on our own. And that's when Mama Bear really kicked in and went, okay. So I went home that afternoon and I just got on the computer and started Googling and looking at all the clinical trials, and one it was like it was in purple, bold, illuminating, lighting up. And it was in Portland, Oregon in the US. It was working with an immunotherapy drug, first out of the rats, didn't even have a name. It was called PD-1. And immunotherapy is a drug, for those who don't know, is a drug that it doesn't fight the cancer. It literally lands on your T cells and teaches your T cells to fight the cancer. And it's your body helping itself. It's your body learning to repair itself. And for me, that was just like light bulb. Yes. I just went, that makes a hell of a lot of sense to me. And once again, we're in the low statistics. It was very new. Phase 1, I think 38% of people were responding. No long-term data. But instinctively, I knew that's where I had to be. That's when I started my campaign.
And after reading the book, that's right. Picture this scene, everyone. So Julie's then been told you're going to die, then says chemo will hold it. So you're having chemo, which is basically just killing all your cells and hoping you've got better ones than other ones and you come out good in the wash. And even your situation wasn't that. It's just like you're just going to have a couple more months. So you're actually putting yourself through an incredibly challenging time with the whole effects of chemo to not get much outcome. And then for virtually the same stats, slightly less, actually, if you're going from 40 to 38, you could be in an experimental trial, but at least it's got a positive wellness principle to it of, wow, at least my body can help myself. At least I could do something. So this is pretty exciting. This is a ray of hope for you. And you're like,
Yep.
all fired up now going, well, that's better than holding. This is a possibility. So what happens next?
You're right. Totally fired up, which was just what I needed at the time too, just to like, you know, and just on that too, I would be out the back of my home, running, singing. I will move on to what happened getting into America, but in the meantime, while all this was happening, Scott and I were like doctor shopping and going everywhere and, you know, just trying to get all the information we could. And we went to this medical biologist who is in the ACT in Australia, Canberra in Australia. And he was recommended by someone, and he's like telling me how bad melanoma cells are, and they're a 9 out of 10 in terms of reproducing themselves. And it's like, yep, great. But he said, look, he was giving me some herbs and things, and as we were walking out of his office, he said, one last thing, Julie. I said, what's that? He said, you have to be happy and you have to be joyful, and your body will know you're serious about repair. You know, you want it to repair and back to well-being. I'm like, hey, doc, I've just been told I'm going to die. I've got 2 teenage daughters and a husband and a big family. You want me to be joyful and happy? And he was so emphatic about it that I made myself do it. So I made myself run. I made myself sing. I made myself chant, go out, dance. Like, oh, but anyway, it was the best thing
Insane.
I could have ever done. Yeah. So, okay, so my campaign begins to get into this trial in America. I make a phone call, ask for the clinical trials nurse, like nervous, shaking, shivering. It was a guy, his name was Chris, and he seemed quite bemused that somebody from Australia had called, and he was kind of a little bit, he sounded positive, you know, in the first instance. And I thought, okay, you know, and every time I spoke, I started crying, could hardly get my words out, you know. And so I thought it started out quite positive, and then came the rejections, one after the other. Like, no, you can't come, you're not an American citizen. You're not in our medical system. What if something happens to you over here? It was a 2-year commitment, which I never planned to keep, by the way, and I forgive myself for that. But it was a 2-year commitment, and you won't stay for the 2 years. And then the big final blow was, I'm sorry, the drug company will only accept 70 patients. We're full at 70 patients. And that's when I think, once again, I ran out the backyard with my dog. And I'm like, that's it. I came back home, and I may or may not have called back and read out the Hippocratic Oath over the phone, along with words like, I'm a child of the universe. If you've got something that can help me, you know, you are committed just because I'm not American.
You have to help save people. I'm the person who needs saving. You cannot say no. I love it. I love it. Oh, I can imagine you so fired up and going, no way. That's right.
Yeah,
you just
not on those. Not on those terms. Like, you can't not accept me. Anyway, it was about 3 or 4 days later that I and Scott and I both constantly still sending emails. You know, poor old Scott, he couldn't even go to the bathroom without me saying, get out of there, have you sent an email? And anyway, a couple of days after that, I was just at home and get a phone call. It's this American, what time do you want your appointment at Providence Cancer Center? I'm like, what? Yeah. So 3.5 months that took me, 3.5 months of campaigning. Turns out I had at best 9 months to live. I arrived in Portland pretty much bang on that 9-month mark of when I was supposed to be pretty much dead. But I kind of kept myself healthy and alive because I knew, I just had to get there. So packed up, left family, over we went. Scott came with me for a while. My daughter came with me for a while, but she was doing her HSC, so Scott had to take her home. So I was there a lot of the time on my own, but hey, here I am. It's worth it.
You are. And we're not going to tell the whole story because we definitely want everyone to actually get this book. And 71. So we're not going to give any of the actual journey, but that's it. You're setting the scene again. You know, your mum, so HSC, for those of you who are in our globals, that's your final leaving exams, if you like, your end of senior high school. And so that's it. You've got life going on. You've got girls sort of still progressing through life, having to do their best under circumstances. You're choosing to leave. And if you go over there, you might die. Like, that's a big thing. It's not just go over and get some treatment, go in and for an unknown situation. You know, incredible. We don't even have time to touch onto it, but we know that you did well, and you actually came back to Australia, which is absolutely amazing. And then following all of that, so the journey back, you then went and said, at some stage, I'm going to actually have to write a book. Now, you're not a writer. You know, how did patient, you know, you've had this incredible, miraculous experience, which is just, you know, so detailed in the book, and so amazing. But also to be able to then suddenly just write this book. And I'm talking not just someone who's had a cancer journey and written a book. Like, it was so well written. You know, it's like, were you an author before this happened? And your response to me was, no, I just wrote my book. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. So how? My whole journey was a whole lot of promises, and I was brought up to keep my promises. You know, you make a promise, you got to keep it. So while I lay in the dark at one point, and I was thrown into menopause, that's another story, I would lay awake at night sweating, and this was during the chemo days. And I made a big promise to Mrs. Universe. And I said, Mrs. Universe, if you get me through this, I promise I'll write a book and tell my story, help other people. I'll get on stage. I'll be an inspirational speaker. I will, you know, all of these things. Just please, you know, if you can help me get through this. So when I got back from America, without blowing the story, I was there for X amount of months, and I came home, and I was just cruising for a little while, and then up here started again. Hey, Julie, remember those promises you made laying in the dark about writing that book and being a speaker? And I'm like, no, I was only joking. No.
I'm good now.
Okay, like, let me off the hook. And you know what? It just would not let up. It would not let up. And so I go, okay, that's a promise. And I literally sat down and it poured out. Absolutely just poured out. And, you know, I didn't set out to be a literary genius, because I'm not, but I figured I can tell a story. Why can't I write a story? And so that's what I did. And how good, like, turns out I could write. And my father wasn't the only one to read it. Like, my mind was telling me, you'll make a fool of yourself. No one will read it. So
Whereas it's absolutely the opposite. It's, you know, it's now an international bestseller. You know, it's just been republished in the US, so it's easy to get there. Patient 71. It was very huge in Australia and New Zealand. She was on our major program here we call 60 Minutes.
60
and I think
minutes,
that's in different countries as well. Absolutely incredible at the time. And to go from, just a promise in your head. What a woman of keeping promises, by the way. You're amazing. You've got a incredible gift with that. But to be able to put it together and then write it with such incredible skill, and because you can just hear your voice, you can hear your passion. I felt like I was in your family. I felt like I was on that plane trip. I felt like I was on the train back. I felt like I'd gone through the treatment. I felt like I was just sitting next to you going, go, Julie, go, you can do it, right? It's just absolutely amazing. And so to be able to do that and then get a publisher and to make it all happen, but they're all still choices that you made, that you had to go, I'm going to put myself out there. That's right. The voice in your head goes, oh, what if I'm crap at it? What if people say, oh my gosh, like you think if you survive cancer, you just want to go off and live your life and just do nothing now, and enjoy things. So you're still showing this incredible tenacity to continue to punch above your weight, to make things happen, to make yourself vulnerable yet again. It's just something to be congratulated on. And then to become a speaker as well, like that's a whole other area to then, you didn't have a history and go, oh yeah, I'm just going to get on stage and tell everyone my story. Absolutely.
Not at all.
Absolutely.
I just love it so much too. I've become, when you first get up there and you're reading from the notes and you're like shaking a bit, and just to now, it's been a long time since I've used notes, and I did a speaking gig a couple of weeks ago, and we did a song. The whole audience sang a song with me at the end, and it was just such an incredible experience. And just to be able to inspire people to know that, the end's not necessarily the end, or the voices in your head that tell you can't do something. They're not true. They're just most of them aren't true. And you've got to differentiate which one's true and which one isn't. But they're not true. And we all know they're just trying to save you from getting out of your comfort zone. And, because they still think you're literally going to die. If you go and get out of your comfort zone, you get on that stage, you're going to die. And the only thing you can die of, at best, is embarrassment. And nobody's ever died of that. And, 99% of people, they're going to do a good job. And people just admire and respect the fact you're up there in the first place. And
Exactly.
Love it.
They're all like, wow, you've done, seriously, you've survived the impossible. Any mother, and and obviously men as well, but any mum is just imagining that scene of what you went through with your girls, even that time to leave them, to have the unknown, to your mental toughness is seriously off the charts, for other people listening and going, I don't even know if I could do that, if that was you. And I think that's all right. All of us would be sitting there going, well, would you have 2 or 3 more months just guaranteed? And then these are all big decisions, and your fighting spirit is just so admirable. What I also think is absolutely fantastic too is, yes, you now do lots of speaking for Melanoma Australia and you in your cancer journey, but you've now made it more than that. You're now wanting to create a real movement, if you like, for women over 50 to make the next years their best years, because I think a lot of women are suddenly around age 50, and I know it happened to me, and it's happened to so many women that have come through Women's Biz Tribe, and even the speakers that have shared at this summit, that a lot happens to you that you suddenly just take stock, and a lot of things you've just taken for granted. You've always thought you'd have another day. When will that actually happen? And you can kind of get a bit lost in it. Whereas now you're like going, oh my gosh, I'm that woman who went to a 50th birthday going, I'm so thankful, I'm so blessed, I've got no worries in the world, I'm fit and healthy. And then the world actually did, spin rapidly. And you're the woman to actually, lead that and to, because you get it. It is your lived experience.
Yeah, totally get it. And I call myself, that was another thing lying in there, Mrs. Universe. I said, I'll never be a gunner. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. But I've got all the time in the world. My kids will grow up and they'll leave home, and then boom, that rug gets pulled out from under you and you're like, I didn't do this and I didn't do that. I've got so much more to do and so much more life to live. And that was a huge wake-up call, and I guess a big message for me to other women and men, but women is like, don't wait till something crashes in your life till you start doing all these amazing things. And to know what you're capable. Like, I didn't know half of what I was capable of, Annie. You know, like writing or speaking or mentoring. You know, we are capable of so much more than we think we are. We really are. And a lot of that fear in the head, of the fear of somebody not liking what we do, which is inevitable. Who cares? It's always people that, as Brene Brown says, haven't stepped into the arena. You know, who cares what they say or what they think? All of us people that are out there having a go just totally admire and respect what each other is doing. And we just have to keep our eye on that, our eye on the prize, and in our own lane, away from the naysayers. You know, otherwise you can let them eat you up. And why would you do that? Life's too short. So much fun to be had.
Yeah, exactly. Just be in the moment, be present, enjoy those opportunities that come by, because that's right. We might all happily, healthily live till a very old age, but you just don't know. And I think it does. Your journey has shown that incredible reality check that you go, oh my gosh, you know, we do assume we're always going to have another day, and you know, but how do we know? You know, yours was cancer. Other things can be accidents, illnesses. You know, we just don't know. And while
they're hit by a bus,
right? Yeah, crazy things happen. COVID happened, and people who were seemingly healthy suddenly don't. You know, we just don't know. And so,
no, and I literally. We all have lots of mentors now, which is amazing. But on my journey, I could not find one soul in the world that had survived my diagnosis.
Yeah.
So I had to say to myself, somebody has to be a first. Someone's got to be a first. And turns out I literally am, you know. So, yeah, if that's not hope, I don't know what is. But I literally had to train my brain to ignore that, not even ignore. I got used to that, the mind monsters. You can't do that. You're going to die. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. I go, thank you. Okay, that's your opinion. I know what you're trying to do. Thank you. It took me a while to learn that. That didn't happen straight away. But now I do that with everything I do. Okay, thank you. You're trying to protect me. I know what you're doing, but I'm good. I've got this.
Yeah, you definitely had the express trip to self-awareness of what's actually happening and how you're going to respond to that. There was no time. So all of those learning curves got done in rapid time because of necessity. But now it's actually brought you out on the other side and go, oh my gosh, you know, women, you are so much stronger than you ever believe. That saying about the tea bags is absolutely true. You don't know how strong you are until you put in hot water. Absolutely true. And you know, the power of your values, your beliefs, your promises, your relationships, you know, it's just so important to you, the way you actually want to now, you know, since that did happen to you and it could happen to anyone else, how you lead your life moving forward. And I know you've had many choices to make that you know, you would have probably done things very differently than it had you not gone through this experience. But now you go, but I'm a different person now. You know, you value things differently, and you have to make different decisions based on that. I think it's absolutely amazing. We are out of time, and I have absolutely loved this. I cannot stress enough, and I know I don't actually do sales on things, but seriously, you're just wanting a good book. You're wanting to read a story of inspiration, courage. Julie's story is, you know, one, it will just like shock you, amaze you, but it just brings you home going, oh my goodness, if this could happen to this woman, it could happen to anyone. And also, I just felt so inspired by your not just bravery. It was more that this gut wrenching, this power that just got unleashed from you, and then just went, no way, I'm going to make this right.
Yeah, and I'm a crybaby. Just for you, also a crybaby all the way through it as well. I'm not
you're a crybaby. Fair enough. Who wouldn't be a crybaby? But when the tough things happen, it just pluck this thing out of you. And I think that's so inspirational. And I know that is going to be so powerful in your future journey with those that you mentor or coach, those who come to you from reading the book or speaking engagements. I know this is all coming together because, you have accessed that inner power that is in all of us, but we just haven't activated it because we don't need to. Well, maybe what if you, here's the leaving question for you all listening in, what if you actually activated it without having to be told that you might die of cancer? I mean, oh my goodness, your world will change because, Julie can do this with all of that going on. Imagine if you could actually just tap into a lot more of that inner toughness, that strength, ability.
And have you got time for one more little thing? So just for you listeners, so it's been 10 years. It was 10 years on the 21st of June this year. I went to the doctor, I think it was 2.5 weeks ago, and she broke up with me. No more scans, no more visits, no more. She said, "You're done. You're done. You've made this." And it's like, whoa. And I've been thrust back into normal society after 10 years.
You're no longer a cancer patient.
I'm no longer a cancer patient. No longer a cancer patient.
You're Julie Randall, just living life.
Yep. It's so cool.
Everyone watching around the globe, get your virtual champagne glass or whatever you want, and then just go clink, clink, clink. Oh my goodness. Here's to you, Julie. Just pop that copy of that book up. It's got a couple of different covers on it.
Yeah, the American cover's a little different to that.
A little bit different, but it's called Patient 71. And this is a woman, and just think about your own situations. This is a woman who went, I know you're going to die. We're really sad about that, but whatever. And it's full. And she went and said no. And this is the message. When someone says no, you go, well, how do I turn that into a yes? In this situation.
Not yet. I kept saying.
Yeah, well, you think you're full, but you could. What can change? And there are so many situations that I've had in my life, my career, other people now sit there thinking, okay, I had a no, but you might have just tried once. You might have gone for that job once. You might have, done one opportunity of speaking and then went, oh my God, I was paralyzed with fear. I'm not going to do it again. What if next time you actually can do more? There's so many times that you've gone for something or even thought of it and the fear has brought you away. But now, seriously, this is a real wake-up call for all of you to actually think, okay, well, how will I turn that into a yes? And what are the stepping stones? You didn't get the luxury of time and stepping stones. So you're out there as an outlier, if you like, and that's okay. Not everyone has to be a Julie. Others of us are going,
please don't.
I do have the time, right? I do have that, but I still want to be chipping away. And that's very much what we do in the tribe. We all just go, what are our goals? What are our dreams? How do we chip away? How do we, poor Julie had to do it all by herself. She's gone and left her whole family and kids in this unknown situation. He's alone. We don't have to do that. We have a global tribe. We've got support. If you don't have a tribe supporting you at this time, you can just join one. Like you can just come on in and go, hello, everyone, let's just do business and life together, and and it's not full of perfect people. It's full of beautifully perfect people who are imperfect and are very happy.
Oh my God, I'm so imperfect. It's not funny.
We've all got our flaws. We've all got challenges. We're all dealing with things. But we're growing together and we're actually doing it authentically. And that's the difference,
I still get nervous all the time. I still get nervous and feel that all the time, but I've just kind of trained myself to just do it anyway. You feel way worse about yourself, even if you stuff something up a little bit or stammer over your words or your speech doesn't go exactly how it should have gone. You feel way worse if you didn't have a go at all. I would.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing. Thanks so much, Julie. You have been absolutely
Thanks, everyone.
Amazing, inspirational. Everyone, just come in and catch up with Julie anytime via the tribe, definitely in the chats on the platforms that you're watching. We look forward to seeing you again very, very soon with our next speaker.
Bye.
Ladies, are you dreaming big enough? I want you to dream big and act bigger. You see, I want to have power. I want to be empowered. Suddenly, being empowered is a more positive word, because I want to make sure that I know my own values, my boundaries. I know what I want to achieve in life. Visible and invisible barriers are only a problem if you accept them as such. So a woman with a big dream also needs to have a plan, because without a plan, that dream is just a wish.
I love her confidence, I love her charisma, and her positivity and her brightness and her colour and her lessons about life, you know. As a woman who's been through so much, it was really, really inspiring and really interesting.
I had 4 kids in 2 years. I wanted to be a businesswoman. I had no money. I had to think, how is this dream going to happen? If you actually start believing if something's important to you, just back yourself. Back yourself despite what other people say. Successful people are not held back by what other people say.
I would recommend that for everybody, because everybody should have a dream and everybody should back themselves. So I think she's awesome.
Even when it feels like everything's not going to work, they go, you know what? I'm going to make sure that this does work. I'm going to be positive despite, because it brings energy, it brings opportunity. And as soon as you actually get half glass empty, your vision will start failing. I encourage you to start making your dreams a reality in business and in life. Thank you.